Yay!
Okay, great. So good morning, depending on where you're listening, what time you're listening. Welcome to Spilling the Tea with D Part 5. And we are here to talk about a new hot and spicy topic. And before we do that, I'd like to introduce my wonderful guests with me today. So we have with us Melissa Mizuko and Steven Sinnen, which are both fitness coaches. They're also, let me just get to gallery view so everybody can see. Sorry, on multiple screens right now, and technology is lovely. There we go, gallery view, so we can all see each other on the screen. So both are fitness coaches, are group fitness instructors, and fitness professionals. And we're going to talk about stuff behind the scenes in the fitness world because some people who are either thinking about being fitness pros, who are currently fitness pros, and just looking for some support and just how to move through this whole situation that we're in right now. So today's topic, we're going to be talking a bit about the fitness industry and what has been revealed about the fitness industry since the COVID-19 pandemic took place. Is it time's up for gyms? Are there some things that we need to learn and move forward with? And are fitness professionals becoming extinct? It seems as though there's a lot of other options that people are going for. Do people need us? Will they need us again after everything comes back to the full swing of things? So before we get into the topic, I'd first like to kind of just talk a bit about the overview of the fitness world. So just talking a little bit about the different components. So for example, we have in terms of the companies, we have four main segments from what I can to determine. We have the gyms and the studios. So these are companies that have 100% of their business is brought in through fitness services. So people, as we know, they get a membership, and the full purpose of that membership is so that they can have access to the gym facilities, their equipment, as well as their programs, their group fitness programs as well. We know that studios are kind of more of a subsection of the main gyms because they have a niche where they focus mainly on just one aspect of the gym experience. For example, you have your yoga studios or your boxing studios, your Pilates studios. So people just go for those classes and focus on that aspect. Another part of the fitness world we have is the online video segment. So we have fitness trainers and professionals that will create programs. They will pre-record them, or perhaps people will pay for a monthly fee or access to their live instructions as well. So that's another aspect of the industry. And we have lots of examples of that, such as, back in the day with Tybo and Billy Blanks, P90X.
Mhm.
We got the Beachbody series, as well as we have different fitness enthusiasts who do live events and all that sort of stuff. Another part of the fitness world is the what I call the institutions. So these would be people, not people, but these would be companies that their main business is not fitness. It's more of a subsidiary of the main fitness world. So, for examples, you have the colleges, the universities, and corporates that will have a gym on premises, but that's not their main business. So, as we know, college and universities, their focus is about education, but they will have a gym on premise, which services their students, their alumni, and even the community. But again, that's not their main source of revenue. And then we have another part of the fitness industry, which is events. So we have fitness professionals that will present at conventions or fitness events of some kind, like a mega boot camp or something like that. And we're brought on to enrich the event and to be able to present and carry the event through. So having an overview of the various aspects of the fitness industries. Now the question is, how do we as fitness professionals fit into this labyrinth of various different companies and institutions? So we can either work at one specifically, one area, like some fitness professionals only work for gyms or only work for studios. Some kind of have a blend of different opportunities, whether they're at gyms and institutions and maybe do private stuff as well. And when I talk about fitness professionals, just to be clear, when we're moving forward, we're talking about individuals that have an accreditation in fitness. So they have professional training in fitness. So it's a little bit more than your cousin helping you out and spotting you at a bench press in your garage, but people who actually have a certification, a diploma of some kind, and their main focus is to share their expertise to help people live have a proactive approach to fitness. So now that I've kind of talked about the business. Let's open it up to the panel and just let's get into it. So maybe we'll start off, each of you, if you can just kind of talk a little bit about, based on what I just mentioned, what areas are you focused in your fitness professionals? And maybe Steve, you can tell us in terms of the gyms, institutions, online video, blend of everything. Let us know kind of what is it that you're doing.
I have a bit of a blend. I work for a gym. I do have my own business where I teach in condos in their wellness centers or their gym amenities. And I do online programming as well, some YouTube videos, and then I do some live Zoom sessions. So a blend. I also do, well, until recently, I was doing more corporate wellness, so going into companies and helping them keeping their employees well with stretch breaks, what have you, whatever they require for their employees to have some sense of wellness at work as well.
Mm-hmm. And Melissa, how about yourself?
I've been doing the university gyms, recreation centers. I had my own classes, as in bringing people into a church basement and doing stuff like Zumba. I have worked for gyms. I usually sub at big box gyms. And yeah, and I also do online training too. Yeah.
That's cool. Let me just double check something here on the, oh my goodness, sorry. Are we still live? Let me just verify.
I have that we're live on YouTube.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure that I thought I got a notification. Sorry about that. Technology. All right, so cool. And myself, I think I'm pretty much like with you, Steve. I'm at the gyms, the studios, pretty much everywhere, online. So I have a full blend and spectrum of the various things I do. So let's get into it. So we know March 11th happened, the announcement happened, and March 15th happened, gyms closed down. So just out of, to the panel, what are some of the immediate responses you saw from the various gyms and studios and institutions that you work with? What were some of their immediate reactions to what happened?
I think for like the bigger gyms, they scrambled to find, I'm sure we'll get into this later, many of them didn't have an online presence or a consistent online presence in terms of class offerings or training offerings. So they scrambled real quick to figure that out and how that would look for them and what platform they should use. Should they use all their social media platforms? Maybe they weren't even using it. A lot of them weren't even utilizing it to their best of abilities. So there was a lot of scrambling, I thought, to figure out how to manage the virtual world of fitness.
Yeah. And in that scrambling, what was the reaction to, as a fitness professional, what was kind of like, was there anything that they provided? Were there any provisions? What was sort of like the thought pattern or things that they did for that in that respect, if any?
I don't know if they per se gave great guidance with what offerings you can do as a fitness professional with the company in the virtual settings. Maybe some companies did. The ones I've experienced with, there was no immediate offerings in terms of how do I participate or how can I offer my services virtually for this company on this new platform and this new way of fitness life that we have. So there was no immediate interaction with me with regards to those companies.
Right. So it sounds like they were focused mainly on dealing with the clients and the members, kind of like to the fitness professionals. There wasn't too much communication, if I'm understanding it correctly. It's kind of like, okay, sorry, we're closed and we're dealing with our members. Is that kind of?
Yeah, that's the kind of feeling that I got. And I get it because that's where the money's coming from, right? Where the money goes out to, there where the money comes in from. So
right.
I guess like any business, they're like, how do I keep my revenue? How do I keep revenue period at this time?
And how about you, Melissa? What were some of the initial reactions that you saw from the companies that you work with?
It was somewhat like Stephen in the sense of I got just emails, hey, we got to shut down. And then it was in the background, they were like, we're going to try and figure this out. So I think a lot of the places most of the public places, I should say it this way, most of the public places, they found within a month of COVID, they ended up putting, let's say, 25% of their schedule online. They looked at what everybody else was doing and quickly got onto Zoom or quickly got onto platforms. They shifted some things around. Now, as in for like the parks and rec centers, they haven't offered anything. They basically said, right now we don't have a job for you, and you're on your own and do your own thing. But again, as conflict of interest, we're not allowed to touch the members and say, hey, I'm online if you need assistance. They just cut everybody off, put everybody's memberships on hold. But I find that because I also actually have a membership to a big box gym, they actually did within the month give me something, give me an on-demand or a special class that I could attend to. So
from the perspective of a participant, because so you're also a participant.
yeah,
yeah, okay.
Also from a participant perspective, but like the university, they quickly saw that all of their instructors right away were hopping online, and right away were extremely supportive. Hey, tag us when you're going to be online. We'll help you. And then in the end, in watching us professionals pick up or to keep connected with the participants that we did connect with online, they kind of saw the wagon that we were on and kind of followed and then picked up to what security they needed to be able to be safe.
That's interesting.
Online.
That's very interesting that you mentioned that, because that's, to see that some of the companies were waiting for our lead, or in that situation, your lead and the people that you work with to make decisions. So I find that interesting.
Yeah.
That's very
and I find it kind of funny too, because it's like they needed our help to stabilize their vehicle. And I think that with certain places that I work for, they are really, how do I say, like they really love their instructors and really appreciate them, though they don't say it much. But they really do. And there's a real big sense of community with those employers. But with other big big box employers, or ones that have very strict guidelines of communication between staff and the hierarchy, there is nothing. There's no support. There's like, yeah, we're done, see you later. I don't know if you're gonna have a job when we come back, but you know what? Here's your EI papers. We just don't know. And with those employers, but like other employees that I've had have been very supportive, and they're like, you wash my hand, I wash your hand, we're good. So, and those are the ones that have provided opportunity for me to be online with them.
And the thing is, though, my concern though is that although of course we know not every company is the same in our industry. But when you look at other industries, though, there are certain consistencies, which I honestly was a bit disappointed from not seeing it within the fitness world. Like, for example, you look at, I'm just thinking of a law firm, for example. If they were to shut down, there is an understanding that you take care of your employees at least for a certain period of time, ensure that they do have some kind of an income for some time. You don't just close your doors and leave them out, right? Whereas I think in our industry, for the most part, from my experience anyway, for the most part, most of the gyms and not so much the institutions, because I think with schools, with universities and colleges, they are many times government run, so that they go according to the code in the Employee Standards Act. They're very strict on making sure that they comply with that. But for the corporations and the gyms, it's kind of like, well, figure it out yourself, which I found a little bit disappointing, because I think at the end of the day, they're a business, and yes, what we do is about helping people, and what we don't see that same attitude in other industries, where if they had to close, they just basically tell their employees, full-time, part-time, whatever, you're on your own, figure it out, right? Any thoughts on that? Yeah. So now just question as well what your thoughts were on how fitness professionals kind of react.
Go ahead, Melissa.
How fitness professionals reacted? I think that we all scrambled. I think that in the first month, we all kind of like went, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think I think a lot of us went to the virtual world because we were already transitioning there. I know I was transitioning there. I had certain things that I wanted to have secure, like having a secure platform so that I knew that my participants would be they wouldn't be attacked by any person coming into the meeting or whatever, how Zoom had to kind of catch up with all of us. I think that many of us were going to that direction, but there were a lot of us that really like that one-on-one interaction. So we kind of got a little bit side tilted and then realized, what, we all have to start doing this. But I think that the virtual world is extremely difficult for some and easy for others. And it takes a different type of person to be online. And I think that transition for some was challenging. And then for others, it was, this is natural for me. I've been, a YouTuber for years, and all that jazz. I think too, when I'm thinking of a specific person in mind, he has his own studio up close to St. Catharines, and he was very nervous because he didn't know if his participants, if I should say it this way, his culture would transfer onto the online. And same thing with me. I didn't know if my older ladies would come online with me because some of them are like, YouTube what? Facebook what? I don't even know how to use my phone properly. But it's funny because those are the ones who they missed you the most and they made an effort to be there. I find it amazing. I mean, one of my 63-year-old participants, she ended up figuring out that Facebook could go to Comcast and I could be up on her TV screen. And she's been with me since the get-go, God bless her soul. But, it's just, it was a big transition for many professionals, one way or the other. And also too, we've talked about this a little bit before and it's totally different topic too, but how are we going to survive financially?
Yeah, that's the next thing, yeah.
Some people were charging, some people weren't, some people were asking for donation, and then as a professional too, people are blasting or promoting their class by showing, look how many people I got on my class today. And then, and then people are, and others who are struggling already have their mindset starts to turn, and as professionals, we have to watch that we're not coming from a place of scarcity versus a place of love to be able to financially have the flow come through, and then be here in the long haul. We might not get back into a gym maybe September, if they say June, but who knows for the second time around, and then who knows for how everything's going to react. It could be till December, it could be till next year. So as someone once said to me, as I heard on a different segment from somewhere else, that 2020 is not really a year, it's a mulligan. So this is our time to kind of figure crap out and be ready for when the real 10 years starts in 2021. So this is kind of like a redo year, but and also too, it's funny that everybody's talking about creation and creating what's going to happen next for next year or how you want to be in the future, because I mean, we're trying this all out to be better for the next month or the month after that, or depending on how long we're stuck in this bubble of COVID.
And I think, sorry, Steve, you're going to say something?
No, I was just going to say a couple quick things. I feel most the same way like Melissa does. That everyone had to switch quickly to virtual and whatever that meant for them. For me personally, I found it very anxiety driven, because that first week I was like, should I be putting out 20? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing just yet, but I feel like I need to be doing what everybody else is doing. And I did hold back because I wanted to think about it more. I wanted to find a process, what is my purpose here? And to the end point that Melissa just said, so virtual, we pivoted to virtual, but now that can become part of the new normal whenever the gyms become what that's going to look like, whatever the gyms become. Maybe a gym that's a brick and mortar gym should always have two streams of revenue, one that's based on where you go to the location, and one that's based on that can be accessed at the whole time. Because God forbid someone's gym burns down, then you're just in the same situation as if you were in COVID, because now you don't have any source of income or whatever, right? So back to the point of fitness professionals, it's good for us to be learning both streams as well. For those of us who maybe haven't ventured into virtual just yet, like Melissa was venturing there anyways, it just sped up the process for me. But for us to have some money still and have revenue coming in, it's good for us to have our hands in both sections, I think.
Absolutely. And for me though, I'm gonna, spill some tea a little bit in terms of, it's great. I think what happens is that what I'm seeing as well is that because of what we do, it is very much, let's face it, we have a bit of an ego as fitness professionals. We like to be in front of people, and because we do it oftentimes because we love it. Like, we know that we're not making tons of money in this, right? And I find that sometimes I can get exploited. And I'll give you a little analogy. Way back in the day, when I was younger, in front of the mirror with my hair comb, singing like I'm going to be the next Whitney Houston. And I can carry a tune a little bit. And I had the dream one day I wanted to be a singer. And I actually was doing like talent shows and doing a couple gigs here and there. But at the same time, I've always been somebody that's sort of entrepreneurial and forward thinking. So I thought, okay, this is funny, yes, but this is costing me something. So I would like a career out of this, and how do I go about it? And when I did my research and started discovering that oftentimes in these clubs, people are paying the money to get in to see the band or the performer or whoever it is. But a lot of times, at least back then, the performers were not getting paid. Like, I wasn't getting paid. I'd come and sing whatever with the band, and then I would look around and be like, wait a second. The bouncer got paid, the waitress got paid, the bartender got paid, the promoter definitely got paid, and the club got paid. But the performers were walking home being told, you know what? It's good for exposure. You never know, it might be. I'm like, if I get any more exposure, I'm going to be like, I'm black already, okay? I'm black already. I don't need any more exposure, right?
Right.
So it reminds me, like, I'm seeing now, and I hate to say it, but I'm just going to keep it real. I'm seeing the similarity in the fitness world right now, where after everything happened and the gyms closed down, I get it. Everybody was like, what do we do? Blah, blah, blah. But although this is an unprecedented time, this pandemic, it's not totally new. Like, things have closed down before. There have been threats to our jobs before. But I'm just, when I look at the reaction, the reason why I'm bringing the analogy, when I look at how many of the gyms, again, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I'm just keeping it real as to what happened. It just reminded me too much of back in the day when I used to do the gigs, where this one particular gym, I'll just tell you, they sent out a newsletter, letting everybody know that they're closed down. And in it, the general manager said, don't worry, to the staff, we're going to pay you until the end of March. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting this letter too. I'm like, okay, cool. At least 2 weeks, at least that's something. I can get some groceries. And then they sent a follow-up email to just the fitness instructors saying, well, that doesn't really apply to you because you're a independent contractor. And I'm like, whoa. So it reminded me too much. I'm like, wait a second. So they're gonna pay the cleaners, the front desk staff, the finance, the accountants, but not the fitness professionals at a fitness club. So I just thought, wait a second here. So that's kind of why I thought to myself, you know what, this is really honestly not fair treatment. And maybe it is, as I said, hashtag time's up, for these gyms to wake up and recognize that although we may be there teaching 1 class, 2 classes, 3 classes a week, we are still working for them. We're still employed by them, and we still should have some level of rights. So I just want to kind of pivot into talking a little bit about our role. And some people don't recognize the many different things that we do. They just see us doing jumping jacks and burpees and think, oh, how hard could that be? Right? I was writing down all the different things that we actually fall under our title as group fitness instructors, particularly. So we're program designers, we're choreographers, we're audio visual technicians. How many times do you show up at a class The microphone don't work, the music don't work. You're like
Yeah.
behind the stereo trying to, you know, like what is this?
Absolutely.
One or two times, right? Right? We're DJs. We've got to put our playlists together, and it costs money to get that music and stuff, especially when we want to make sure that we're following the music laws. We're logistic coordinator. You know, you have to make sure that Susie over here, who has my spot, you know, you got to keep her away from the new person that she don't bite off their head like Susie. I know that's your spot, but this person is their first day. Be nice, right? So we're logistics coordinators and also equipment, you know, coordinators. We have to take care of that, problem solvers in that respect. We're educators. We're motivators. We're health specialists. And we're also, I see, Melissa, you're taking us around the world. You're also a traveler. But we're health specialists. And look, how many times has somebody come to you and be like, you know, I have this pain in the side of my hip. What could it be? It's like, wait a second, what do you think?
Before they go to the chiropractor.
Doctor, right? But you know, some of them expect us to diagnose, like, what is that rumble in their stomach? I'm like, I don't know.
Yes, don't know. Also, we could throw in therapists there as well. I think that's another thing we could throw in. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're performers, you know, and another part is that we're also, when you think about, we're also human resources. And this is how I say human resources, because what happens when you're sick or you have to go on vacation?
Oh, we have to pick up our own subs. And if they're not a part of the organization, or the organization has some type of rules or whatever, we have to go on the hunt. And if nothing, like nobody within our organization can, it's like you get, not, how do I say it? You get guilted into needing to leave. Like, and I don't mean it in a bad sense. It's like our bodies, with all of the duties that you just said, our bodies break down, our minds break down. So we need to recharge. And it's not fair that we get kind of put down that, you know, we want to take a moment to recharge so we can give more to everybody else. And yeah, so we become our own Rolodex.
For sure. And like when you have to take that call in for that sub, there's like a million calculations going on in your head about when that paycheck comes in, I'm going to miss this money. Where can I push this money? And, you know, and I can take on 6 more classes here on that week, you know.
Yeah, we don't get sick days. A lot of people don't know that. Like, and it's not like other companies where if you're sick, you just call the manager and say, I'm sick. And they are the HR person. They look after allocating the work. But we're expected that we have to run around. And I've had this, like, I'm not exaggerating. I'm sure many of you too. I've had it where I have literally been like vomiting. Okay. And I have to be on my laptop, emailing people, asking them to take my class, calling people. And I'm like, that's not right. You know, and I've had situations where I've actually showed up, I couldn't find anybody sick and injured, because I knew that's, you know, and the thing is that you're trying to find a sub for a class that you're not going to get paid for. You know what I'm saying? And you're not being paid for the human resource action of having to find and recruit. So I just think that, you know, I think as Fitness Pro, it's time, again, time's up. I think it's time that we have to start locking arms and saying, you know what, something's got to change here. It's something that comes out of this whole COVID thing, is that we have to say, listen, we need to be more respected and understood, like, just like any other industry where they just call and say, I'm sick, or they say, I'd like to take a vacation. And the HR department looks after reallocating, not us running around. You know,
it all goes back to, sorry to interrupt you, the value placed on fitness professionals in general, that and the expendable nature of our industry, which partly is because one of our previous teas were about the regulation or the lack of regulation that exists in many of the fitness sectors, right? So Dione can't do it, we'll go to Melissa. Melissa can't do it, we'll go to Steve. They don't necessarily know what quality of teaching we all do or what we can teach. Just like, oh, you teach a class, you can probably go teach this class. So they don't, companies don't see their, maybe they will see value in their instructors now, or or they're fitness professionals, but I don't really know. Because at the end of the day, like you're saying, Dione, it's a company and they need to make money. And if they can keep this line of employees expendable, then they can do something with that money that we go paid out. We can delete that money and keep it for something else.
And I think that, you know what, I don't think it's going to happen unless we make it happen. It's like, I go back to the analogy of back in the day when I used to sing at gigs. The music industry improved because many singers and bands were like, no, we're not playing for exposure. We're talented individuals that need to be compensated. So we're not showing up until you pay us. And I think that's what helped to improve a lot, like in the music world, for example, you know. So I think it might be a time for us as professionals. And again, the intention is not that you're trying to put down the gyms, but really trying to elevate them to understand that we are as valuable as the cleaner. You know, we are as valuable as the front desk staff. If you're going to pay them and take care of them, and if they call in sick, you look after that. If they, you know, if you're going to terminate them, for example, under the Employment Standards Act, they deserve termination pay, severance pay, the same thing. We should have the same rights. Whereas as it stands right now, if a gym says we don't need you anymore, that's it. Like there's no termination 2 weeks later. Like you're bye. You know?
I'd just like to share a brief story if I can, which kind of put a couple of things in perspective for me. Last week, I got a call from one of the organizations I work for. One of their corporate clients, who I service quite often throughout the year, called them and asked them for some programming, and they've specifically requested me. Unfortunately, I cannot do that because I'm not employed at that organization at that time, so I'm not a worker. So technically I cannot do that. But they did call me, and the person who was going to do it asked me what I do, and she'll just do what I do. So basically, right? Are you shaking your heads? Yeah. So I thought that was a little bit weird. So I explained what it is I do for the company, to a high level, like not very detailed. But I did say, is it possible I'm available privately? Maybe you can suggest if they specifically want Steven Sinanen, maybe you can suggest the other avenue for you to get him directly would be to go to him privately. And that wasn't an option that they were willing to explore. But at the end of the conversation, and I'm always a team player, was thank you for doing this for the company. But I'm like, I'm not benefiting. Someone is getting paid in the process.
Yeah.
And I just got a phone call for my ideas.
Wow.
That's what happened, right?
I'm sorry to like totally like come into this, but I've had this before too. It's like, so tell me what your class is so that when I sub for you, I can be you. But I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you. And the other thing too is that in that situation, if they would have thought that if you came on board and made the client happy, it would be better retained than someone imitating you, because they know that they will never be you, and trying to imitate another instructor is like bad news. Like that's just not something you do. And also the authenticity with yourself, the company, and the participant, it's like it needs to be there. Otherwise the participant's going to go to YouTube and find somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing to be inspired by someone. I mean, there's instructors out there that I've attended, especially at conventions, and I'm inspired by certain things, or they do something like, oh, I like that, you know, and find a way to somehow incorporate, still be authentic to myself, but incorporate. That's one thing. But like with the Steve situation, where they basically want you to lay down the program, like again, like that. Right. They're like, okay, give us design the program, do everything, and we give you $0 while somebody. No. That's exploitation. I'm sorry, that's exploitation. You know, and that's one thing too that I even posted on my Facebook one time. You had commented as well, Steve, on it. That like the gyms that were asking us to do video production, I'm willing, but again, that's another thing on the list that they're now adding. The thing is, my function, I'm not a video production specialist, right? So as much as people think, oh, you just have to hold up your phone. No, that's another function. Right. Right. So if you want me to do that, then provide me the resources. right? So it's just like with my partner, he is working from home and his company gives him the resources. They give him the laptop and then whatever equipment he needs to do the job. So if you want us to, we are doing work. It's a valuable work that we're doing. If you want us to do work for your company, then provide us the resources, right? And that's the thing that I find that, again, we perhaps have to push back on. Like I had to go back on them and they may think I'm not a team player. I'm like, it's not me. It's not about not being willing. It's about respecting that I'm a professional, you know, just like I'm sure you're not doing it for free, you know, why,
Right, exactly.
you know, why should we be expected to do it for free? Our doctors and nurses who are on the front lines right now dealing with this pandemic, God bless them, they're not doing it for free. You know, we don't expect them to be working for free. And people who are going to them not out of choice. All right. So people who are electing to take our services and then there's an expectation that we should do it for free. I'm sorry, that's just not fair. Sorry, I'm rambling and ranting on my.
That's okay. I started that tangent for us.
But, another question I kind of wanted to ask is, I guess we kind of touched on it, is kind of how has there been a change in expectations from some of the companies that you worked at? Is there now an expectation that in addition to being program designer, therapist, all that kind of stuff, is there now the expectation that we are now adding on any extra roles? What are you guys' thoughts? Has anybody asked you to do any extra roles besides give them your whole program design, Steve? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I haven't found, like, for the big organizations that they've given me any expectations. I mean, there's general information they send out employee-wide about staying healthy, being ready for when we're coming back or whatever. But any prime directives specifically for, I guess it's speaking to fitness instructors, I don't think so. I can't say that. And I read pretty much all the communications I get from everything I work for, so I don't think I've missed any like prime directives per se. I've tried to be as helpful as I can. I mean, slightly tangenty, I do notice one organization, they picked a certain type of individual to represent that organization in their online programming, and that's all they're going to stick with. And I did address this as best as I can, and that seems to be going nowhere. So that was just a tangent. Sorry.
A certain type of individual. So I guess they have like just, what do you mean? Like they just have one person doing their online training, or you feel that
they have like a specific set of 3 or 4 people, and that's all apparently they're going to have for.
Okay.
And they all have the same look and same feel of what they do.
Right. Yeah.
And I was speaking to like, let's show like diversity in people, show the diversity in Canada. This is people are logging in from all over the world. I tried to as best politically address that as best as I can. I don't think it landed well. There's no pushback. I just don't think they understood without me coming directly and saying what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, they rather than looking at
I'm trying to be as good with this right now.
Yeah.
But I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Yeah,
you have to be respectful and understanding, but at the same time be authentic in your point. Like that's one of the reasons why I respected Richard Simmons and his videos, as opposed to we have other, many other videos that everybody's chiseled out, and it's like that's not really realistic to the average person, that everybody has a six-pack. Everybody it looks like they've been like sculpted from the Mount of Olympus, like So yeah, which is another topic altogether. But yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. So here's a question to really kind of think about is like, how do we now reinvent ourselves moving forward? I don't like the concept of let's get back. It's like, no, we're never going to go back. We have to think about moving forward. And as fitness professionals, and as not just in the fitness industry, but can we maybe expand beyond what we can do and what our abilities are? So have you guys thought about like what are some things that you might think about in moving forward from this and being able to use this as a positive to become stronger? What are your thoughts on
that? I think that how I teach my class is going to change in the sense of going back right away, wearing a face mask, and not necessarily having to wear gloves unless I'm actually picking up weights, but also to expanding my role as in like, yes, making sure that equipment is clean. Not that I didn't before, but making sure that equipment is clean and everybody is actually doing their due diligence to actually clean their stuff versus just throwing it back into the cupboard. I think that there's going to be times in the day where, or at least the downtime of the gym time, let's say between 2 and 4 or 5, that, you know, everything needs to be cleaned, and maybe I'll expand to helping with that cleanliness in the gym. And then too, like, just how we communicate with people. Like, I'm not gonna allow participants to hug me because I don't know where they've been. I don't know, like now with the eye opening of COVID, you don't know where that person's been for the last 3 days. So you know, and having kids and, you know, older parents, I don't want to give anything to them or make them sick. So that's going to change. Also, I don't think where I am is going to change. I think that I'll still keep most of my classes, but then have a little bit of the online component, because now that I've started in that area, I want to keep going, so that should something happen, I have that as not necessarily my backup, but my security, because as fitness professionals, we don't have that security. I mean, someone could say, 3 participants may come into your class and I don't like this anymore. And then, you know, it could be that you get terminated because they requested for somebody else, or, you know, like that's always in our world. So just having that so-called backup. And then as for expanding what I do, going more into the health, nutrition, and goal setting aspect of a fitness trainer, and being more of a leader in that respect, just kind of opening up the wings and giving people more of what I know, not to become a doctor or anything like have we said, oh yeah, I know what's wrong with you if you have this foot pain. No, just saying like, this is what you can do for your foot pain should you get it. So yeah, like that's, I think how I'm going to go forward. But I personally like that one-on-one or the interaction with people. So I'll still keep that, but yet still build on what I have going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think going forward, I want to build, create a virtual presence that's consistent and that it's long lasting. Because I recognize some people will not want to go back to classes right away until they feel comfortable, until there's a vaccine, until whatever they've deemed their risk level, their comfortable risk level, right? But they still would like to interact with you on a weekly, daily basis, however it was they came to your class, and I still want to be able to provide that. Because to Melissa's point, we're not going to be hugging and engaging with members that way, but at least this way, I help to create some more consistency with presence in their life and them having presence in my life as well. And on the other side of that, I've really, one thing I've been thinking about a lot is risk management in the fitness world, which this has shown us that's been an area of the fitness world that really wasn't addressed. They probably had a plan in a drawer somewhere, maybe. But as we can see, like many industries have been scrambling, but literally, I don't know any, I mean, I'm sure there do exist. I don't know any fitness, any gyms or fitness companies that are thriving. Like, we're okay. We're like, we were totally prepared for this. We already went this path. So I think people in the fitness world need to think not just going back, like you're saying, Dione, but what things can we do to help benefit the company? So that's why I think maybe getting a bit more education and risk management and how it relates to the fitness world will be something I'm looking forward to investigating and learning more about.
Right. I know for me, things I have learned and takeaways I've come from this experience. For me, I've been through so much in my past, and I always tend to use every fiery situation to just help me to become more of a diamond, in a sense. You know, this is how we learn, this is how we grow, this is how we expand, and how we are able to find more talents and find the best version of ourselves. And for me, I've learned the importance of understanding that we have to be able to diversify quickly. We have to be able to move and change quickly, and not just within our fitness world. Sometimes we have to move outside. So I know I've been using this time as well to look at some of the hobbies that I was pushing aside and now make them into possible opportunities as well. Because this could happen again. The gym's closed down again, but if you don't have another stream of income, it may
Mhm.
outside of fitness, then you risk yourself, you put yourself in a situation where you may not be able to support yourself. Because fortunately in Canada, we have our federal government and our provincial government have stepped up in helping us. But we can't always rely on that for the future if something like this happens again. We need to be able to have proper backup resources and plans. The other thing the take home I've got from this is how important that we need to come together as fitness professionals. We are so segregated because we're just like this class, that class, we're passing trains half the time. But this time has taught me, you know what, I really need to come together with my colleagues and say, listen, we are all sharing similar stories. We're all sharing similar tragedies and situations. How can we uplift each other to uplift our profession and also uplift the entire industry? We have to be able to be the ones to say we are valuable, we matter, and we need to be treated as such. And I think as well as just learning about online videos. One thing I've done for me, I did go into the Zoom world like many people did, but for me, I prefer to either create a good video that's pre-recorded and people can actually hear properly, and there's no interruptions and glitches and all that kind of stuff. Or we're face to face. Like for me, the online platform has its ups and downs, but I just prefer to provide something that's quality and that it can hear properly, as opposed to all the various glitches that we've been going on personally. But I mean, for those who are doing it, kudos to them. I just prefer I'm either with you face to face, and that way I can really be a coach to you, as opposed to they're not even showing their face. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their form is. I want to be able to see it, or here's my video. You can watch it and we can get feedback. So a lot of different takeaways from this. Anything else you want to add before we close out our session today about moving?
I think fitness professionals, in particular instructors, if they find they're struggling with, am I even going back to the, like a lot of people have, unlike us, do it as their side hustle. And in reality, they might not be going back anytime soon. If at all, maybe they'll decide this is not something I want anymore. But in general, I think if you can think about what your strengths are, as fitness professionals, we can, especially group instructors, we have the ability to teach. And to your point, Dione, what is it you like to do? What's a hobby? Can you teach people to do whatever that hobby is? Then you've created something that you like, you have skill set you already have that's transferable with something you like, to possibly something that can generate revenue for yourself at the end of the day. So think of the skill sets that require you to be a good group fitness instructor, and then how can you use that skill set in something else that maybe not be fitness.
Exactly. And you have to also do the math, because I always say, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So in Toronto, where the average fitness instructor is making between $40-$45 a class, and we have 8 things that they want us to do, and we don't get a sick day, and as much as we love it, at the same time, it's like, hey, like maybe we need to really think this through. Not to say that, like, even for me, I'm debating, do I want to go back to all of the companies that I was with? Because we weren't, some of them aren't treating us as well as they should, considering that we are 100% of their business. So it's making me ask these questions, and I'm sure there's many out there too who are saying, maybe I may not want to go back to all of them if they're going to be asking me to give them free services and not respecting the fact that I have bills to pay. So these are questions that, one can ask themselves and figure out how they're going to move forward. But I think it's important to just make sure that, does it make sense? And are you able to diversify? Are you able to be valued and ensure that you can move forward in a positive way and in a way that uplifts others and yourself? So I think that's pretty much our Spilling the Tea session for today. I want to thank again my lovely co-hosts, Mr. Steve and Ms. Melissa. And if anyone who's watching now or later has any additional questions, or maybe a topic that you want us to cover in the future, please feel free to leave your comments before. If you'd like to give a thumbs up And we will be talking to you soon. Take care, stay blessed, and all the best to you.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.